Boom. So this is my next. Checking my dog back there. This is my next choice for the route, the Mount Rushmore of horror. Um, I'll explain. I guess towards the end why I chose Nightmare on Elm Street over another popular movie. But anyway, I want to get into my thoughts on this movie. I have to admit, I wasn't too into the film. I was like, at this point in my in my early horror, well, not so much early, but in my, I guess, familiarizing myself with horror in general, I've pretty much grown tired of like jump scares and contortions of bodies and scary sounds and I guess a lot of make believe, if you will. That a lot of make believe that is involved in creating fear or trying to cultivate fear, I guess. But this one, I'm seeing a trend in myself. So I'm picking movies that, I guess, if you eliminate maybe one or two elements of it, it can be a thriller. But I guess that's what makes these movies so appealing to me. But anyway, this follows, you guessed it, a teenage girl and her friends, as they're being haunted by Freddy Krueger, a guy who was a, what was he? He was a serial killer, but he, I guess, for lack of a better term, specialized in children. I don't know why that would be funny. It is funny to me. But and somehow his parents had a hand in his murder, and therefore that's why he's coming back in their dreams to kill their kids now. Or is it because she still holds a piece of him, which was his makeshift knife hands or something? She's still holding on to that for some reason. I guess for validation that he is deceased. But I'm assuming that his spirit is still trapped in that item, and that's what causes him to be able to get into her child's dream and wreak all type of havoc. But one thing that makes this movie, that also makes this movie pretty good, is you kind of left not knowing whether the main character was awake at the end or it was still a dream, which I thought makes it more of a complete movie, in my opinion. Hope this isn't too dark. My dog's back there. She wants to play. But anyway, come here. Come here. I can't play with you, but I will pet you. There you go. She wants attention, so you gotta give it to her. I had to itch my nose too. Huh? That's what you want? You want a back scratch? Give her a good old back scratch. You want a back scratch? Yeah? You like the back scratch? Huh? How long am I supposed to give her a back scratch for? Okay, but anyway, where's that? Yeah, why this movie was so good to me. So I think I've explained what I guess I've given a decent synopsis, I feel like. So yeah, a group of kids terrorized by this one guy who was a serial killer who specialized in children. So you want to talk about the interaction between the mother and father? They seem to be separated, and see this movie is. I feel like the storytelling is it's rough, but it's going in the right direction because you get to look at a divorced couple, and you get to look at they're kind of biased on the downfalls of the mother, which is her alcoholism. They're leaning on that more heavily than the father, who possibly could be a workaholic. I don't know, but just the fact that you can have a conversation about those two characters, for me, makes this a better movie because it gives you so much variety, and you're not focused on the jump scares. You're kind of like, at least in my opinion, you're kind of like, I'm kind of like thinking like, hey, what's going on with the mother? What's going on with the father? And then the kid, she's proven to be really smart. She's not, she's the main character. She holds her own as an actress. She holds her own in this film. Now this movie, like I said, it's rough. It does have its downfalls. Maybe some of the language probably not there. Some of the acting isn't really there, but I still feel overall it's a win. It's still a pretty good film. Um, Acting like I'm some type of critic or something. I enjoyed it. I have to say that. At the very least, I enjoyed it. I'm trying to think what else happened. She decides to. She takes it upon herself, which is why I think she, as an actress, she really took control of the movie. She takes it upon herself. Well, the character takes it upon himself, and the person who's playing that character brings it to life. They're going to take on Freddy. They're going to bring him back. Now, in the course of her coming to that conclusion, she's lost she's lost like 3 friends. One of them happens to be a young Johnny Depp. Um, One through a strangulation. Another one through like slashing, and another one which was pretty horrific, and one of the more iconic scenes I feel like, gets sucked in a bed and then basically like a blender and it gets shot back out and just blood. Really great scene. I can see why it's that particular scene is so often replicated. Am I saying that word right? I don't know. Duplicated? Replicated? I think it's duplicated. Duplicated? I don't know. I have to get a dictionary or something to figure that out. But yeah, I can see why. I can see why this film is so good. But she does come out victorious and gets Mr. Cougar. I feel like the name is German. I don't know. But anyway, gets him back and follows the lieutenant in the police force, and of course they all think she's just losing her, off her rocker a little bit. Mother has medicated herself, so she's out of it. She's no help at this point. But I'm leaving out so much of the movie. I know I am. But there's a lot of good in there. She is, like I said, she holds her own. Oh yeah, her father, the guy who plays her father, I know his face looked familiar as an actor. I know his face looked familiar, and I was like, what have I seen him in? And of course, with Google, I was able to look up everything he was in. I was like, oh man, he was in a lot of movies. They may have been small roles, but he was in a lot of westerns that I've seen, and quite a few other movies too. And then looking at some of his earlier work, he was in a lot of early horror films as well. But those really stereotypical 50s type films that I didn't even touch on for this list, which I feel like because I'm now at this point, and like I say, at this point in my journey through horror, I feel like there's so many different lanes to take as far as horror is concerned. And also just figuring out why Mount Rushmore was even created. It was created as like a tourist destination. And I didn't do too much research to see why those particular presidents were chosen. So I felt like Nightmare on Elm Street belongs on this list over the original Halloween. I looked at both of them, and I want to explain why I chose Nightmare on Elm Street. I just want to say it's a more complete movie. Like I said, it has a lot more character development. So you're able to connect more with these characters, or even just you're able to create an idea of each character easier with the chunk of information that you're given for that character. If that makes any sense. Also, the original Halloween, it's I feel like it has its own place, but just not here because they chose instead of taking a more psychological route. The best way I can explain it, they chose to take a like more of a slasher kind of um like playing on somebody's sexual desires, kind of. There's a lot more nudity in Halloween versus Night of the Living Dead. Now you are dealing with child actors, of course, so it's like, wait a minute, it may have been like 18 or something like that. I don't know. I have to do more research, but I think they leaned on that, and then Halloween was a shorter movie than um, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think Nightmare on Elm Street. I have to double check, but I just feel like it was a much more complete story. Um, Also, I think the acting was way worse in Halloween. I don't even think all actors, if you can call them that. I'm not trying to bash them, but they I just don't think they were up to it. And you barely see the guy running around. I think his name is Jason. You barely see Jason, but I feel like he has a stronger he's a stronger character than some of the characters you see more of. I'm like, come on. And to go back to Nightmare on Elm Street, the end of the movie sealed it for me. That was when I knew this was great because they had a representation for those specific colors. I think it was like red and green on his sweater. They had the knives. It kept reoccurring in the film to tie it all together. I feel like, which was why I decided to put it as in the number 3 slot. Now, since I only have one more slot, I'm going to give it to a newer film. And I'm going to do that review probably in the next couple of days. Then I'll be done with this. At least in Mount Rushmore. And I'm probably going to have to do some more explaining somewhere down the line. But I just feel like the more I get into horror, the more I see how many lanes there are. There's not like one or two. It's not black and white, clear cut. There's like 12, 13, 14, 15 different lanes of horror film. And this last horror film that I'm going to put on around Mount Rushmore is fairly new, but I feel it, like I said, it belongs. It belongs in with these 4 films. So until then.